There's a reason you can't stop thinking about her. There's a reason her attention feels like oxygen. There's a reason you check your phone hoping she texted. And when she doesn't, your mood drops like someone cut the power. There's a reason you feel empty when she's distant and alive, when she gives you approval. And if you're honest, you already know it's not love the way you want to believe it is. It has almost nothing to do with her. Today, we're talking about something most men will never admit out loud: a psychological addiction to women. Not to relationships, not to intimacy, not to building a life with someone, but to validation, to being chosen, to that hit of attention that makes you feel like you matter. This won't be comfortable. It's not meant to be. Comfort is how men stay stuck. But if you can handle the truth, this is one of the most liberating conversations you'll ever have. Because once you understand what's actually happening, you can break the spell. Let's name it clearly. We talk about addiction to substances, gambling, porn, social media. But there's a quieter addiction that affects millions of men, and almost nobody calls it what it is: addiction to female validation. This is not the normal desire for connection. It's not the normal desire to be loved. It's not the normal desire to be attractive. Those are human. This is different. This is needing a woman's approval to feel real, needing her attention to feel valuable, needing her presence to feel complete. Men with this addiction organize their lives around maintaining female interest. They make decisions based on what might impress women. They feel worthless during dry spells. They become obsessive when a woman shows attention, not because she's rare, but because her interest makes them feel rare. The symptoms are obvious when you know what to look for: desperate texting, jealousy, overthinking every delay, inability to walk away from disrespect, staying in relationships that drain you because the idea of being alone feels unbearable. And the subtler symptoms are even more common: constant background calculation of how to be more attractive, a self-worth meter tied directly to romantic success, feeling like a nobody until a woman confirms you are somebody. That isn't love. That's dependency. And if you don't understand where it comes from, you'll keep repeating it with different faces, thinking you're chasing the one when you're really chasing relief. Here's the hard truth. The man addicted to female validation doesn't love women. He uses them, not consciously, not maliciously, not because he's evil, but functionally, that's what's happening. He uses women as mirrors to see himself reflected favorably. He uses them as medicine for wounds he won't treat directly. He uses them as evidence that he is worth something. And because he's using them, rather than loving them, his relationships never stabilize. They always feel fragile. He always feels anxious. He always feels like he can lose everything with one wrong message, one bad mood, one moment of distance. That's not partnership. That's a nervous system trying to survive. So where does this addiction come from? Almost every case traces back to the same place: childhood. Not in a cliche way, in a developmental way. A child needs three things to grow into an emotionally stable adult: unconditional love, the sense that you have value simply because you exist; conditional guidance, structure, correction, discipline, a framework for reality; modeling, an example of how a mature adult handles life. When those needs aren't met, the child adapts. He builds strategies to earn whatever version of love is available. And the problem is, those childhood strategies often survive into adulthood even when they no longer fit your life. If love was conditional, if you only got warmth when you performed, your nervous system learns a rule: my worth must be earned. That becomes the foundation for validation addiction. If emotional tension was inconsistent, sometimes present, sometimes absent, you become hyper vigilant, constantly scanning for signals, constantly trying to secure the bond. That becomes the foundation for obsession. If a parent was emotionally unavailable, you learn to chase, to prove yourself to win affection. That becomes the foundation for craving a woman's attention like it's survival. So the addiction isn't about women. It's about trying to fill a hole that was created before you were old enough to name it. And the biggest hole for most men is the father wound. Let's talk about fathers, because this is where a lot of the damage begins. A father's job, at least psychologically, is not just to provide money or protection. A father's job is to initiate a boy into manhood. He gives structure, he gives challenge, he gives correction, he gives confidence through earned competence, and eventually, he gives permission. You are ready. You can stand on your own. When that process happens, the boy becomes a man with an internal sense of worth. He doesn't need constant external validation because he has a stable internal base. He can handle rejection because rejection doesn't destroy his identity. But when the father is absent, physically absent, emotionally absent, or present but uninvolved, the initiation never happens. The boy doesn't learn what masculinity looks like when it's mature. He doesn't get the challenge and correction that builds real confidence. He doesn't get the release into adulthood. So he becomes a man in body, but not fully in psyche. And boys need approval. Boys need someone to tell them they're okay. Boys look outside themselves for identity. Without a father to provide validation and then wean him off needing it, the man keeps searching for it wherever he can find it, often in women. So, he isn't looking for a partner. He's looking for confirmation. He's trying to get from women what he never got from the man who was supposed to build him, a stable sense of you're good enough. This is why you see the weird contradiction. Men who desperately want female attention but are terrible at maintaining relationships because they aren't relating to women as adults relate to adults. They're relating to women the way boys relate to mothers, seeking comfort, approval, and emotional regulation. Once you see it everywhere. The man who can't make a decision without asking his girlfriend. The man who falls apart at the first sign of disapproval. The man who measures his worth by his success with women. The man who becomes clingy, jealous, controlling. Not because he's strong, but because he's terrified. These men aren't weak by nature. They're underdeveloped by circumstance. They never got what they needed to become solid. And here's the strange part that becomes obvious once you understand it. A lot of men are not actually chasing romance. They're chasing maternal love. They want to be soothed. They want to be held. They want unconditional acceptance. They want someone who will love them regardless of failure, regardless of mood, regardless of life. Those are needs children have. They are not needs grown men should outsource to romantic partners. But when a man never fully developed past the stage of needing maternal comfort, he brings that need into every relationship. He isn't looking for an equal, he's looking for emotional caretaking. And it creates a cycle that kills attraction. Because a woman may initially enjoy feeling needed. She may even confuse it with intensity or connection, but eventually she feels it. The weight, the quiet demand, the pressure of being responsible for his emotional stability. No one is attracted to their child. So she pulls back. She becomes colder. She creates distance. That distance triggers his original wound. He becomes more anxious. He seeks more reassurance. He becomes more needy. He becomes more reactive. And the more he reaches, the more she retreats. Then the relationship collapses. And what does he do? He blames her. She changed. She lost feelings. She wasn't loyal. She wasn't the right one. But the truth is harsher. He was asking for something no romantic partner can provide. He was trying to get childhood unconditional love through adult romance. That's why the pattern repeats. Now, modern culture doesn't help. In fact, modern culture makes this addiction worse because we live in an era where validation is commodified. Social media teaches your brain to chase external approval. Dating apps turn women into a scoreboard. As porn teaches your nervous system to treat arousal as comfort. And online culture sells men the idea that romantic success is the proof of worth. So if you already have a validation wound, this environment turns it into a full-blown dependency. You start measuring yourself in matches, messages, dates, and attention. You start viewing dry spells as identity failure. You start thinking your mood should depend on whether a woman is responding. That's not a life. That's a hostage situation. And on top of that, the internet has built an entire ecosystem designed to exploit people who never fully grew up emotionally. You can split it into two categories: comfort content and disciplined content. Comfort content tells you you're special. The universe has a plan. Everything will work out. You deserve love as you are. This content feels good because it mimics unconditional acceptance. It soothes the inner child. But it also keeps you passive, waiting, dreaming, consuming. Disciplined content tells you you're weak. Work harder. Suffer more. Nobody cares. It mimics a harsh father figure. It feels motivating at first because it provides structure, but without context, without relationship, without actual guidance, it becomes noise. Shaming, performance obsession, another form of dependency. Both types of content create the same trap. You keep looking outward for the emotional regulation you should be building inward. The creator becomes a surrogate parent. The audience becomes adult children. And because the internet never tells you you've had enough, the loop is infinite. The deepest version of this problem shows up in hope without responsibility thinking, manifestation culture, destiny, magical systems that promise outcomes without action. In relationship form, it becomes the right woman will appear when your energy aligns. Timing wasn't right. The universe is testing you. It's comforting, and that's why it sells. But it's also infantilizing. It lets adults maintain a child's relationship with reality. If I want it hard enough, it should arrive. An adult understands that outcomes come from actions, decisions, boundaries, skills, and character. So here's the core of this entire topic. Validation addiction is a refusal to grow up, not a moral failure, a developmental delay. Growing up means accepting that no one is coming to save you. It means your problems are your responsibility, even if you didn't cause them. It means discomfort is part of development. It means you become your own parent. That last part is the key. Psychological maturity is not being tough. It's having an internal system that can do two things: comfort you without needing external soothing, challenge you without needing external authority. A nurturing inner voice: I'm still worthy, even when I fail. A disciplined inner voice: do the work anyway. Men addicted to female validation don't have a stable internal system, so they outsource it. They outsource comfort to women. They outsource authority to whoever seems confident. They defer. They seek approval. They become reactive. They prioritize being liked over being respected. And it destroys their ability to lead their own lives. This shows up in relationships where the woman becomes the functional authority because the man abdicates it. He calls it being easygoing. What it often is, psychological dependency disguised as virtue. A healthy relationship requires two complete people. When one person is incomplete and seeking completion through the other, the relationship becomes parasitic rather than partnered. And women can sense that, even if they can't explain it. They feel the weight, they feel the pressure, they feel the bottomless need behind the affection. And eventually they pull away, not because they're cruel, but because the dynamic is unsustainable. Now, here's the part that should scare you, because it's the part men rarely admit. Even when you get the validation you're chasing, it doesn't fix you. You finally get the girl. She wants you back. She's texting. She's affectionate. She's giving you the approval you thought would heal you. And the emptiness remains, because external validation can't fill internal holes. It works like a drug. It gives temporary relief. Then it fades. Then you need more reassurance, more proof, more attention, more control. Or you start scanning for the next woman who might give you an even stronger hit. That's the treadmill. And men stay on it because the alternative is facing the wound beneath it. And that hurts. So, how do you actually break free? Not with tricks, not with lines, not with manipulation. You break free through maturity. Step one, recognize the pattern. Admit that your relationship with women has been driven by need rather than connection. Admit that you've been chasing a feeling more than a person. You can't fix what you keep denying. Step two, trace the wound. Where did the need come from? What did you not receive? What are you trying to get from women now that should have been given to you years ago? This might require therapy. It might require honest journaling. It might require conversations you've avoided. But you need a map. Step three, become your own parent. Build the internal voices you outsourced, the part of you that can soothe you when life is hard, the part of you that can discipline you when you're avoiding. This is what real masculinity is, self-governance. Step four, build a life that has value without romantic success, purpose, skill, fitness, money management, brotherhood, craft, community, mission. When you have real foundations, rejection becomes disappointing, not identity shattering. You stop pursuing women from need and start pursuing from choice. Paradoxically, that's what makes you more attractive. Step five, practice being alone without being lonely. Solitude is where the addiction detox happens. If you can't sit with yourself, you will keep using women to escape yourself. Learn to enjoy your own company. Learn to create peace internally. This is not isolation, it's independence. Step six, surround yourself with honest men, not yes men who comfort you, not bitter men who poison you, men who are doing the work, who will call you out, who will hold you accountable. Growth requires friction. Comfort keeps you stuck. And here's what you'll be tempted to do. Look for shortcuts, a technique that guarantees attraction, a script that produces results, a system that bypasses the internal work and delivers the external outcome. Some of these will work short term. You'll get dates, you'll get attention, you'll get the validation hit, but you'll still be addicted underneath. The problem isn't your approach, it's your dependency. A man who breaks free looks different. He still likes women. He still dates. He still wants love. But he doesn't need it to be okay. His baseline is stable. Rejection doesn't destroy him. Distance doesn't make him spiral. He can walk away. He can be alone and calm. He enters relationships as a whole man, looking for partnership with a whole woman. Not rescue, not a mother, not an emotional oxygen tank. He becomes capable of real love because he no longer needs women to medicate his insecurity. Now ask yourself the question that matters. Do you organize your emotional life around female attention? Do you feel worthless when women aren't interested? Do you become obsessive when someone shows interest? Do you stay in bad relationships because being alone feels unbearable? Did you have a father who initiated you into manhood? Or did you grow up without that foundation? Did you receive unconditional love? Or did you learn to perform for approval? Be honest. The first step is not shame. The first step is clarity. Because once you see the pattern, you can change it. The addiction to women isn't really about women. It's about a wound that never healed, a need that never got met, a transition into adulthood that never completed. It's boys in men's bodies looking for parents in places where parents can't be found. But you don't have to stay there. The path out is simple, but not easy. Recognize the pattern, trace the wound, become your own parent, build a valuable life, choose brotherhood and accountability. Stop searching for someone to complete you. Complete yourself. Then you can finally have the relationship you actually want. One between two whole people, not two broken halves trying to make a whole. That's the truth. Now you get to decide what to do with it.